Mr. Lane, on May the 24th, 2012, the Juvenile Court Division of this court ordered that you shall be tried as an adult. On June the 4th, 2012, the Geauga County Grand Jury entered an indictment against you. In that situation, you were to have been served with the indictment today. Counsel, did you receive a copy of the indictment?
We have received a copy, Your Honor. We'll waive the 24-hour notice, waive formal reading in open court, reserving the right to challenge deficiencies therein, enter a plea of not guilty as.
So you understand, Mr. Lane, the indictment contains 6 counts. Your counsel has waived the reading of the indictment, which I appreciate. That means that I'm not going to read each and every element of the indictment. Summarizing, counts 1, 2, and 3 of the indictment charge you with the crime of aggravated murder, which is considered an unclassified felony. There are what we call specifications to that indictment. The specification states in general that the offense was committed in the course of conduct that involved the purposeful killing or attempt to kill 2 or more persons. As I said, that's counts 1, 2, and 3. Counts 4 and 5 of the indictment charge you with attempted aggravated murder. Those are felonies of the first degree. Count 6 of the indictment charges you with felonious assault, a felony of the second degree. All of the counts of the indictment also contain what we call a firearm specification. Generally stated, the allegation in the indictment is that in the commission of those crimes you had a firearm on or about your person and you displayed or brandished the firearm. In regards to the first 3 counts, the potential penalty, if you're convicted of those counts, would be life imprisonment. The potential of parole would be available depending on factors that would be addressed at the time of sentencing, if again you were to be found guilty. The counts 4 and 5, the attempted aggravated murder felonies, the first degree, would have a potential prison sentence of up to 11 years. The felonious assault would have a potential prison sentence of up to 8 years. I referred to the firearm specifications. Those, if in fact they were found to exist, would add increments of 3 years to the sentence. Those are all just possible penalties. Do you understand all of that so far?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
You are entitled to be represented by counsel. You are obviously aware of that. You are here with Mr. Friedman and Mr. Devan. If at any point in time you feel you cannot afford their services, you can request that the court appoint an attorney to represent you at the state's expense. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
You have the right to remain silent. I appreciate your answering my questions. Beyond answering my questions, you should not volunteer any information. If you ignore that advice, then anything you volunteer may in fact be used against you by the prosecutor. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
And on all of the counts, you are entitled to a trial by jury. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Counsel has already indicated an intention to plead not guilty. In fact, is that your plea to all of the charges against you?
Yes, it
is. Your Honor, in addition to our plea of not guilty, we are reserving the right at a later time to request leave of the court to enter a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity.
And the court will give you 30 days leave to file such a plea. And then if that is not sufficient time, you can, of course, request an extension.
Thank you, Judge.
I am ready to hear positions in regards to bond. Mr. Joyce?
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. As the court is well aware, in this instance, it's guided by Criminal Rule 46 in the amount of bail. And I'd say the factors that are specific in this would be that the nature and circumstances of the crime charges, specifically whether or not the defendant had used or access to a weapon. That certainly occurred. The weight of the evidence against him is strong. The fact that he has a possibility of a flight risk, and the fact that he himself could be a danger to this community, I'd ask this court to consider a bond in the amount of $2.5 million of cash.
Thank you. Defense?
Your Honor, my client is a lifelong resident of Geauga County. He lives with his grandparents, who are also his custodial guardians, Mr. and Mrs. Nolan, who are present in the courtroom today. He certainly has roots in the community. He has no prior offenses of violence in his past. Due to the nature of this case, the age of the client, and his roots in the community, we request a $500,000 bond secured by the real estate owned by Mr. and Mrs. Nolan.
Thank you. I have reviewed the information that was provided to the juvenile court judge in terms of assets, in terms of what might be available. I am going to order bond in the amount of $1 million. That will be cash or surety, not real estate. We will select a judge.
This case is assigned to Judge David Fury.
Any further proceedings in this case then will be heard in Judge Fury's courtroom on the first plea. Anything else from the prosecution?
No. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
Defense?
Your Honor, we had filed under seal a motion regarding the placement of the defendant. We are requesting that he be detained at the Portage Geauga Juvenile Detention Center, where he is presently being held. The reason for this request is based upon those matters which we outlined in the motion under seal, including the psychological preliminary evaluation by Dr. Sandra McPherson, and we request continued detention at the Juvenile Center.
Thank you. Mr. Joyce?
Your Honor, our Sheriff, Dan McClellan, could obviously take Mr. Lane in without a problem. If, in fact, this court were to use its discretion and allow him to stay at the Portage Detention Center, he should do so at his own cost, Your Honor.
Thank you. The court is going to order that Mr. Lane be returned to the Portage Geauga Detention Facility for a period of time until June the 18th. He will then be transported on June the 18th to the Geauga County Safety Center. Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
None, Your Honor.
Officers? Can you escort Mr. Lane out?
Thank you, Your Honor. Talk to Mr. Lane, we have to go down to the sheriff's office, okay? Yeah. There for him. Do you want to talk to him?
Yeah.
Just reach down.
Okay.